Wealth, security, and opportunity are a byproduct of success. However, it often comes at the expense of deep personal satisfaction and happiness. This is the Design Your Destiny podcast, and I am your host, Penny Chason, board-certified hypnotist and #1 international best-selling author. I work with the highly successful influencers, business leaders, corporate leaders who desire a life by design. In this podcast, I will bring to you succinct solo episodes and interviews that dissect the challenges of success and highlights the ways to leverage your most underutilized asset, your subconscious mind. If you desire peace and happiness in your life, better health, and stronger relationships so you can enjoy the success that you have created, keep listening because this podcast is for you. What is it that you look forward to every single day? Now, when I ask that question, I might not be talking about what you think I'm talking about, but it's a good place to start. So, what do you look forward to every single day? Is there something that you do? Is there someone that you have a conversation with? Is there a moment that you take for yourself that is revitalizing, rejuvenating, that really fuels you to step into who you are and who it is that you are meant to be? If so, then, enjoy that. Look forward to what it is that you do. But I'm actually talking about something much bigger. And I guess some people might call this their why, but I'm not looking for that external piece when I ask this question. So, we're kind of all familiar with like our why, our purpose, like what is the reason outside of ourselves that we get up and we do what we do every day? What is that thing that is bigger than us? And it's an important part of what we do as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, right? We do this, well, if you're listening to this podcast, you do this because you want to have an impact, right? I generally tend to not attract people who are into business and those things for themselves and only for themselves and the money, but because there's some greater effect that they want to have in the world. But when you think about what this bigger, greater thing is, when you think about what it is that gets you out of bed every day, I would like for you to consider that why, that purpose, that reason for being is limited by your past. Now, you might be thinking, oh, you know what, I've done so much personal growth work. I've done personal development. I go to seminars. I work with spiritual teachers, whatever the case may be. You might believe that you've tapped into your biggest vision yet. And it probably is your biggest vision yet, but it is not the biggest vision possible. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. Her name is Ella. And, we were chatting about what's possible when we remove the subconscious blinders of our past experiences, of our, I use the term beliefs loosely. I'll circle back on that in a minute, but our subconscious beliefs, our subconscious perceptions, because even as we grow and evolve, and we can shift those beliefs and perspectives, there are some that have greater priority than others. And even if our positive belief, our optimistic belief, our futuristic belief, even if it greatly outweighs some past experience, that past experience to some degree will still cast a shadow upon it, right? It still limits our conceptualization of what's possible, of what we can create. Because this was a beautiful conversation that she and I had just last night. And, because she was asking me, she said, Penny, she's like, what is the one thing that if you did it all day long, you would never, ever get tired of doing it? Like, if you could do it for 6 months, what is the one problem that you could help people with that you would never get tired of? I said, you know what? The one thing I help people with that I never get tired of is really reconnecting to their true self, being their most authentic self. Because when we're not connected to that true self, we don't have the level of clarity. We don't have the level of focus about what it is that we're here doing in this world. I said, but the thing is, when most people connect with me, they do not realize that is what they're seeking, right? It comes across as overthinking things. It comes across as feeling as if there's no momentum. It can also come across as procrastination, like it just out of the blue, the procrastination happens and we don't know why. And it's, because something is out of alignment. You've heard me talk about that a lot. And if we're out of alignment with our true self, we get this resistance. It feels like instead of being light and free and easy, and that's not to say that our business is always light and free and easy. There are periods where we have pressure, we're under deadlines. I'm not talking about it being easy 100% of the time every day, because that's just fucking impossible. Okay. But it's just not going to happen. But, when what we love to do begins to feel heavy, when there's a drag on us, when it seems we don't have the momentum and the creativity we used to have, what else is underneath the surface? I have always been a healer. I was a nurse, and then I was a nurse anesthetist. Then I trained in hypnosis out of curiosity. And the depth of transformation, the level of shift and change that hypnosis can get for people when you're seeking this greater degree of confidence, this increased clarity, the ability to just know that you're here to do this damn thing and nothing is going to get in your way, like not even yourself. You're not going to let yourself get in your way. When you are so aligned with yourself and your North Star, just the changes that ripple throughout someone's life is unbelievable. So for me, there's not a part of my mind, there's not one neural connection that can even fathom ever going back into healthcare. And yes, there's a lot going on in healthcare, and there are a lot of reasons I could cite. But here's the thing. In healthcare, I could not make the impact on the millions of people that I'm making an impact on by working with my clients. And you may, look at my social following, you may look at the podcast and you may say, you're not impacting millions of people. Oh, yeah, I am, because when I work with a client, their relationship with their spouse changes, their relationships with their children change, their relationship with their business partners change. The way they show up and serve the world changes. And this isn't a change that I do. I don't create this change. I facilitate the change within the client. I'm a facilitator. I'm a guide. I'm an experiencer, right? So, I bring through something that I myself have experienced, right? I've never asked any of my clients to do anything I have not done or experienced directly myself. So by helping someone achieve this transformation from the inside out, every single person they impact feels the effect of that, right? I'm not doing it, but it's a result of what it is that I do. And that really just lights me up on fire every single day. That's my true alignment. That's my true purpose in this life. And it is what I look forward to every single day. It's knowing that what I do is going to have a positive impact on millions, even if it's indirect. It doesn't have to be direct for me. I'm here to support the people having the direct impact. So, what is it that you look forward to every single day? What is it about you that you look forward to every single day? What is it that makes you who you are, right? What is that deep inside? And if you're sitting here, you're like, well, I wanted to create financial stability for my children. I want to be able to put them into private schools abroad. I want to be able to invest. I enjoy philanthropy. I would like to give more. That's great. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, when you shed these layers that you might not even recognize are there, because you know what? Maybe you're 95% of peak, right? And you're like, oh yeah, there are some things that run under the surface now and again, but I just move past them. I just push past them. If you can imagine something this great and this big, right, at 95%, what would be possible? Like, can you even imagine what you could imagine if you were at 100%, right? So going to those numbers, because I just picked a number and threw it out there. Do I claim that I get my clients to 100%? No, because we always have work to do. There's always things that are status quo, and then later they might crop up and bubble up. But if you're at 80%, if I could get you to 95%, if I could help you get yourself to 95%, and you had the support and the consistency to stay closer to that 95% mode of operation, rather than being at that 80 and bouncing up and down around 80, if you could get that shift, what would change in your life? What would you be able to do? Who would you be able to impact in your personal life? Who could you support that maybe you've not been able to support before? Is it important to you to be able to support other family members, to help them realize their dreams, to retire your spouse if you haven't already, to send your kids to the best colleges? Do you want to have a second home, live abroad? Like, what could you create? What could you create? And I would be curious to know what you think about that, because so many times I see people with, let's say, a certain set of goals and a certain vision. And they're like, this is the way that I want to go, but I'm having trouble getting there. Like, I know I'm in my head, it's something in my head. I'm having trouble getting there. Like, what can you do to help me? And I'm like, well, I can help you get clarity around it. And I'll ask some questions. So when they start working with me, I have them list out the benefits of doing the work with me. Like, when you have the clarity around this, what's possible? Most people list out simple one sentence answers. Well, on our first call, I dive in and we dig deep into that. Like, what does this look like? What are you thinking? Who are you being? What else does this affect? What else changes? And through a process of diving into this, we can uncover some core desires that maybe when we first started talking, it had been something that the person had thought about a long time ago, and then they just dismissed it. And then as we're talking, they realize how these things are interconnected, how they're woven together. And we look at the bigger picture. And then I work with them through addressing the primary issue that they want to address, to help create a foundation, to create a network of belief, to create this sense of possibility using, yes, hypnosis, yes, self-hypnosis, yes, conversational hypnosis, but important things like awareness. You can be like, oh, I'm self-aware. Well, to what degree are you self-aware? There are degrees of self-awareness. There are some things that we can have self-awareness around, and we think we have the best option, but it's not quite the best option. Making a little shift locks things into place around the way that we think about things. And then there's a spiritual aspect of it. And, you don't have to be someone, you've seen me in some of my videos. I wear crystals and different things like that, but that's not the way that I bring spirituality into what I do. I meet my clients where they are. I meet you where you are to bring you the tools and the philosophies. Let's go that way. Bring you the philosophies and the practices that will help you to embody what is going to get you to where you want to be. Because while one client might be interested in, they may notice this pattern in how they feel and how they think. And as we talk, it might become apparent that someone is highly sensitive to the moon energy. We may talk about that. Someone might notice that they're very susceptible to other people's feelings and thoughts, and not necessarily talking about empathy, but some people, the way that we read other people is through their thoughts and emotions. And again, not necessarily being empathetic. That's an empath. There may also be certain aspects of spirituality that you already embody. As a matter of fact, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Most successful entrepreneurs I know, they embody certain spiritual principles and universal laws, such as the law of assumption. Like, I know a lot of business owners that'll say, oh, manifestation is garbage. That's like a bunch of woo-woo. Well, if you're working from the practice of the law of assumption, where it's like, you know what, I decided this, we're going to make it happen, let's go do it. And you take action as if you're absolutely certain it's going to happen. That's law of assumption. Most of you practice reciprocity, right? That giving, the philanthropy, the helping others, when we give in our business without the expectation of anything in return, like with this podcast. I give without the expectation of anything in return. When I lead my master classes, I lead that master class to deliver value without any expectation that anyone is going to sign up to work with me. Do I make an offer at the end of the master class? Yes. But do I chase people? Do I get upset if people don't sign up? No. Does it light my soul on fire when people have actual, real change from a free masterclass? It's going to change the way they think about themselves and they see their life and they show up. Absolutely. And then there are other ways that I practice reciprocity. Thorn is an organization that I support. I'm actually going to have them put the link to Thorn in the show notes. It's something that I never would have dreamed I would be doing. Sitting here recording this podcast is something I never would have dreamed of myself doing, right? Until I started doing the deep inner work, and I started letting go and releasing and shedding all of the beliefs and the stories that I grew up with, because I was taught, if you want to make money, you got to go to college. You go to college, you get a good job, you find a job, you stay in one place for as long as you can to get that retirement, right? And if I had stayed stuck in that place, if I had stayed connected to my fears and concerns about not having, that repeat paycheck every 2 weeks, it's always the same amount. All I got to do is give you 40 hours of my time and you give me a little bit of money. If I had stayed in that mindset, I wouldn't see what's possible for myself now. And I wouldn't be connected to my bigger purpose and the reason that gets me up out of bed and showing up here every single day. And I think it was Tony Robbins. I saw a clip of him, and he was talking about his day and how he gets up and he does his cold plunge. And he goes, when I get up, he's like, do you think I want to do that cold plunge? He goes, no. He said, but it's not up for discussion. I just do it. It's not up for discussion. Tony Robbins has mastered his tonal. And when we master our tonal, we're able to act from our truest spiritual self. Our soul is coming through. We're working and operating from our soul when we manage the tonal. And he's done it. I don't know how long it'll take for me to get to where he is, but it's one of those things where it's important to stay out of comparison, because if you're comparing yourself to where someone else is, it's going to slow you down, not speed you up. Whereas if you're staying focused on who you are, the reason it is that you're getting up every day, what it is that you're looking forward to, if you're focused inward, then what happens in the outer world is going to expand massively. Okay, I went a few places I didn't plan to go in this podcast episode, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Just the same, please like, follow, leave a review on iTunes. If you got the link to the podcast to listen today through the email, you can always hit reply. Let me know what you think. Ask me your questions and let me know what you would like for me to talk about on the podcast. And if it is aligned, I will most definitely do it. I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to this episode of Design Your Destiny. I would love to know what resonated most with you. So just take a screenshot of this episode, share it over on your Instagram stories, and tag me at penny.chason and let me know what you thought. Also, if you head over to iTunes and you leave a positive review, it helps this podcast to help reach even more people, making a difference, elevating humanity and mankind.